So I've had an interesting week. I don't know if you guys find me interesting. I don't know that. And I'm not fishing for a compliment here. I don't know. Our relationship has always been that you find it interesting when I talk about MMA or when I talk about other people. But I don't ever really tell you about me. And when I do tell you about me, I'm usually playing a character. And I'm trying to tell you how dirty and rotten and I'm the bad guy. And for whatever reasons, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too old to play that character. But I've really never taken a shot at it. Jesse on Fire has encouraged me. Laura Sanko encouraged me. I told you guys a story one time about going and getting bagels at 7 a.m. And they encouraged me. They told me what an interesting story that was. Let me just tell you a little bit about my week on a personal level. You tell me if this is interesting, but I have a couple of things that I need to do, including returning some phone calls. I will never go to bed at night, ever, whatever time zone I'm in, until I have returned every text, every email, and every phone call. That was a belief that my coaches taught me when I was young. That was a principle that my father had, and it just won't happen. And I'll call people at midnight and say, hey, I know it's late. I know you're not going to get this. I just wanted to return your call. I'll get it done. And this week, I am a couple of phone calls behind. And it's only a jerk that can't take your phone. Oh, man, I'm so busy. Oh, I'm so busy. It's just, he doesn't want to talk to you. Nobody is so busy. They just can't. They're just not. Well, I've had possibly the best alibi of all time. Murder. Yeah, you heard me right. Murder. I have been at a trial for murder. And the trial came about, and I knew that this guy was going through this, and it took a while in the system, and then it came out. It was a few miles from my house, and I went into this a number of times one time I took my son. The first time I took my son, in fact, I took him out of school, and I felt that there was a lesson there. There was a lesson, and I can't quite articulate it for you, but there was just a lesson in our system. By the time you get to trial, we're not talking about law. That's pretend. And you really only know this if you go through it, but it's pretend that at trial that we're talking about law. When it gets to a trial, we're now talking about emotion of 12 people that weren't smart enough to get out of jury duty. And the long and the short of my story, brought it to you guys when this happened, when I used to do that show with Mike Socio, but there was a fight, there was a stabbing, and the other guy is the one that brought the knife. So in some states, you're done right there. Like in Texas, you're done right there. You get up and walk out of the room. This was bad. This was a bad action. Two guys decided to fight. This one brought the weapon. He had the weapon taken away from him and used it. You just get up and get out of the room. Like the facts of the case wouldn't really matter. You would stop right there. Okay. So this has been a portion of my week. Somewhere within this same week, my son sees a commercial and they're talking about a quarter pounder with cheese, but they don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese. They call it a QPC. So he thinks he's so clever to say QPC. And he drops it like 30 times trying to get me to say, what is a QPC? But I don't know that he doesn't know that I do. I know that means quarter pounder with cheese. I know what a QPC. I've seen the commercials. So I can't stop him from saying QPC. So we finally get the quarter pounder with cheese. So then he takes the box and he makes me look. See, there's a Q and there's a P and there's a C, and this is why I've been saying QPC. As though he had created it. As though I didn't know that McDonald's advertised quarter pounder with cheese. Some prick came up with QPC. So now he's workshopping this on me like he's some kind of a marketing genius. But I know that he ripped off the commercial from one of the biggest companies in the world. Fine. whatever. I'm just sharing that I've been going through this. Then somewhere my son gets a telephone and sends a group text message to the flag football team, of which the text thread contains 25 people, all of which are adults, none of which my son at 10 is allowed currently to do. We don't have a rule against it in the house, but we just haven't gotten to it. My kids just aren't asking for phones yet, but he doesn't have a phone, which means for him to be able to go on the group thread and send the text message that he would have had to have either taken his mom or I's phone, know our password, of which we've never given him, and then decide that he's going to type something out to the group, of which he did, and he lines up a football game, of which I assume is going to be dismissed, but it's not. All the parents are like, that's a great idea. So I'm leaving here to go to a football game put on by my son at a field, none of which exists. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Fine. Now, while I'm dealing with a murder trial, with the QPC, with my son, and trying to bring you guys meaningful information, I get armed with the fact that somebody has come out with a perfume that smells like a donut. Now, that's very peculiar. Well, I like the smell of donuts. I only have positive emotions when it comes to donuts. But where are you going to go that you want to smell like a donut? Where are you going to go? Are you going to show up to church smelling like a donut, just for example? Are you going to go on a first date trying to smell like a donut? Are you going to go to school? Are you going to go... Where do you go to smell that you want? You're going to take an effort. You're going to pay for this. And then what happens if you get a compliment? What happens if the person says, God, you smell so good? You want a fancy name at that point. At that point, you need to know how to say Vindy. You know how to know Chanel. You got to have the word Louis Vuitton. Like, you got to have these, you got to be armed with these things. You got to be able to say Perry Ellis 360 and let it roll off your tongue. You can't lean in and say this is called donut. Oh yeah, this is called maple bar. It's $4. I got it on Amazon. I like donuts. I'm not against it. I like an entrepreneur. I have no problem with the guy that came out and did this. I just want to know, where are you going to go that you want to smell like a donut?